Welcome back, ECHL fans, to another episode of the ECHL Insider. I am your host, Garrett Hunter. Excited to recap another great week of ECHL hockey and get into another top 5 games of the week. We will start out in the Mountain Division, where it was the Rapid City Rush going on the road and sweeping, at the time, the number 1 team in the Mountain Division, the Tahoe Night Monsters. Rapid City looked really good. They fought through a lot that weekend, a lot of defensive battles, and they just looked really good and were rewarded for it with 3 consecutive wins out west in Tahoe. And next, it was the Idaho Steelheads at home taking care of business of the Trois-Rivières Lions, a 3-game sweep. We talked about this game last week. Trois-Rivières, how are they going to handle the big road trip, right? And Wednesday looked good, right? It was a close game, 3-3, and then 4-3, losing in a shootout. But then, things kind of unraveled Friday and Saturday for them as they kind of got outworked by the Steelheads, so to speak. And the Steelheads were rewarded with 3 consecutive victories. Up next, the Florida Everblades. They rolled into Norfolk and had a great weekend. 8-4, 5-2, and 6-2 victories over an Admirals team that is really struggling right now. And this Everblades team definitely isn't. They're at the top of the South Division, and they look really good. And they kind of put their goal-scoring ability on display this weekend up in the scope. And finally, the Cincinnati Cyclones and the Indy Fuel definitely had a crazy 24 hours. It started Friday night, a 7-2 whooping for the Fuel, beating the Cyclones by 5 goals. And Cincinnati said, anything you can do, I can do better. Watch this. And Saturday night, Cincinnati responds 7-1 victory, both in Fisher's Event Center, both really lopsided affairs, and just kind of crazy, the swap in 24 hours. You lose by 5 and then win by 6. Pretty crazy, but this is a really good Cincinnati team, and they showed a really good response on Saturday night. Well, before we get into our top 5 games of the week, I was requested to comment on the PHPA statement to fans from the Players Association, so I will do that right now. Really, when I read that statement that they sent out to the fans and made public, that they haven't been able to get a new collective bargaining agreement with the ECHL, boils down to several factors. But the main one that really stood out to me in this statement was fair pay. And, the players mentioned several factors where they feel like they're not being compensated, whether it's community service, whether it's jersey auctions, whether it's just general league salary, stuff like that. I think I side more with the players on this issue. Just personally, I think, for example, jersey auctions, I think the players should get a percentage of those sales. Currently, they don't. When you buy a jersey that's game worn with the player's name on the back from an ECHL team, all those proceeds go to either a charity if it was a fundraising event, or it goes directly to the team. I think the player's jersey whose name is on the back, they should get a percentage of those sales, right? Because you're buying that jersey not just for the logo that's on the front, you're also buying it especially for the name that's on the back. So, for example, if I go and bid a really high number and win a Brandon Hawkins jersey, why did I bid so much for it? Well, he's the back-to-back, league MVP. He's the biggest name in this league, arguably. So people are going to pay more for their favorite player or for a really good player on their favorite team. I think the players, work really hard to get that distinction and to get the honors that they do and perform the way they do. I think they should get compensation for things like that. But I'll leave it at that for that statement. If you didn't read the Players Association statement, definitely look it up. It is a public statement for anyone to view. Well, with that, we will go to our top 5 games of the week. We will start in the North Division with a very highly played matchup so far this year, the Wheeling Nailers and the Reading Royals. 2 teams headed in completely different directions right now. You look at this Reading group, they've lost 6 out of their last 7 games. Wheeling, they've won 8 of their last 9 games. So you might be asking, Garrett, why is this a top game of the week? Like, yes, Reading's 4th and Wheeling's 1. What does Reading have to do to pull the upset? And I would say focus on the fundamentals, right? Get back to playing your brand of hockey. Get back to being good at the fundamentals, right? Defensively, if Reading wants to upset Wheeling, they got to fundamentally be good. Sticks in lanes, body on body, shots at the net, just basic hockey things that are going to help you win games. If they don't do that, if they have poor fundamentals, this is going to be an easy win for the Nailers. But the Nailers need a little bit of a challenge right now. They're a very hot team, and I think Reading, this is a chance for them to refocus and get back to their game and be good at fundamental hockey to beat the Nailers. Well, at number 4, we have a good South Division matchup for you. The Stingrays and the Icemen from VyStar Veterans Memorial Arena Saturday night. These two teams, kind of a mixed bag for them, right? Some wins, some losses lately. I like both of their games, though. Jacksonville struggling a little bit as of late because of the injuries, right? They had this last weekend, they had a 39-year-old defenseman in Steve Alexi on the roster for a few days. That's how injured they were and in need of reinforcements. So Icemen, if they get those reinforcements back, they're a very dangerous team. And in the Stingrays, we know they're a very dangerous team. Warsofsky, in his first year as head coach, has done a very good job in South Carolina up to this point, and they're going to continue that on Saturday night, or look to continue that against this Iceman team. Very challenging venue to play in. Very big crowd expected for this game. So South Carolina is going to have to be at the top of their game. Up next at number 3, the Kansas City Mavericks travel to the Central Division to face the Bloomington Bison Saturday and Sunday. This is a really good Kansas City team right now, currently sitting in 3rd place in the Mountain Division. And this is a Bloomington team who, trying to find their identity still, trying to, really string together a lot of wins. I hate to say this, but, Bloomington, they need a big win right now. They beat Iowa a few times. They beat Kalamazoo a few times, but those teams are struggling right now. Can Bloomington get a statement victory this weekend over the Kansas City Mavericks? That's what we're going to be looking to see. Can they find their identity and really get a big win against a big team like the Mavericks? Should be good to see. But, if you're going to do that, you got a really good goal you got to beat in Jack LaFontaine for Kansas City. And it should be good. It should be challenging for the Mavericks. They have a long road trip. They'll have 2 other games that week before heading to Bloomington. So should be a challenge for both sides in that one. Well, up next at number 2, the Trois-Rivières Lions head south of the border to face the Maine Mariners on Friday night. Mariners look good right now. Lions coming off the 3-game sweep against the Steelheads, where they lost all 3 games. So for the Lions, they got to refocus, look at the film, obviously. What did we do wrong in that series? But really focus their attention onto this Mariners team. This is by no means just a pushover game for the Lions. This is a big game, and this is a big challenge for them, right? You're ending a road trip, right? Fourth straight game on the road for the Lions in a big environment like Maine. It should be really good. And this Mariners team has impressed me, really, just how they've played over their last few games. They look strong right now in the North Division. A team that was out of the playoffs for pretty much the entire season really has turned it around this year, and they look like a threat in that North Division. Well, at number 1, our top game of the week, we mentioned the Mavericks. They play the Fort Wayne Comets on Friday night. Should be a great game. Should be teddy bear toss night as well in Fort Wayne. Love to see that. Should be a great matchup, though. This Kansas City team looks strong. We talked about goalie Jack LaFontaine. And for Fort Wayne, they look strong, right? We talked about a few weeks ago how good they are on the road. They come back home now. How can they perform against a really strong Kansas City group? It should be really interesting. I think Kansas City, their keys to victory is starting off strong. Get the game's first goal. Get your feet wet, so to speak. Just kind of get into the game. And for Fort Wayne, playing at home in a game like this, you got to get pucks on net. Jack LaFontaine is a really good goalie. They have to challenge him early and often in this matchup if they want to be a very good Mavericks team. Well, that'll do it for our top 5 games of the week. but we have a great fight of the week for you between Jason Horvath and Anthony Pullen in that Trois-Rivières Idaho series. Sometimes in fights, you don't really know who won. It can be up to opinion. I think it's not hard to tell who won this one, as Horvath went off the ice with blood all over his face, all down his jersey. Just fair warning, but really kind of something scary to see when a guy comes up like Horvath after a fight, kind of with the dazed face and blood going all the way down his jersey, all the way down his face. But it was a really good fight, so we hope you'll enjoy it and that you will tune in next week for more ECHL action.
Oh, look out, there's some energy for the Steelheads. Jason Horvath goes with Anthony Pullen at the offensive blue line. The two trading blows at the far side of the ice. Horvath trying to get free of that right hand. He gets a couple of licks on Pullen. Now he's banging away with that right arm, trying to wrap around the head, get him in a headlock. These two still going at it. Linesman stepping away for the moment. They're locked up, they're tied up, and they go down to the ice. How about that one to start things off, Jared?
That was some violence to start out. Little leaking blood. That's what you love to see. Not necessarily on your guy, but you love to see